Yes, hello. This is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching, Self-Reliance You. And please subscribe to this channel on YouTube at Playing It Forward Coaching. I'd appreciate it very much. I am more than beyond ecstatic to have a wonderful young man and a guy who's in the military, a guy I first met when he was an eighth grader down at Eastern Guilford Middle School. Gosh, that was in the fall of 2004 through 2005, and definitely one of the very, very cool, outgoing, positive guys that I've ever met. And he's only gotten more and more outgoing and gregarious as he's gotten older. He's worked at the Pentagon. He's done some really great things. So, Alex, please tell us your story here. And again, I'm going to throw some questions at you as we're going. Okay.
Thank you so much, Coach. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast or your interview process here, Coach. This is definitely a good and great initiative for mentoring and spreading your light and knowledge that you have so successfully been able to influence so many athletes, young men, young women, and just inspiring leaders as myself. As you had said, I came across your path in middle school at Eastern Guilford, ongoing throughout Eastern Guilford High School and playing sports. And then I went to college. So I went to college for all the way up to out my junior year in college. And then I really wanted to join the military. So I was blessed to have the opportunity to join the United States Marine Corps coming out of college and to be able to finish my bachelor's degree and my collegiate studies throughout the military, being able to provide financial benefits. So that was my focus then, and it had really paid off for myself just with being myself and never going out of the limits of trying to be more than Alex Jones. So what that mainly means is once you start to notice that you're in different realms of people, if you stay closer to who you naturally are, people will respect you and people will invest in you so much for that alone. That was always my biggest motivation as far as keeping my family close with me, keeping my initial motivations close with me as well. That took me on to becoming in the military ranks. You have a private, a lance corporal, a corporal, sergeant, and then going so forth. So I really sought after culinary when I first joined the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, a very headstrong, motivated branch of service.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of different opportunities in the Marine Corps. So many opportunities that not everyone is abreast to each individual opportunity, but they know it's probably out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that was really instilled in me early was passion respects passion.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is I may not always know exactly what you're passionate about, but me just seeing the umph that you have, me seeing your get up and go at the beginning of the day, well, I know I'm passionate about something. So if I'm a leader in a position, then I see whatever you're passionate about, I see myself in you. I could be an executive, I could be a colonel, I could be a general, I could be a CEO of a company. If someone else in a higher position sees your passion, then they will naturally respect that because they've had to have passion to get to where they are.
Sure.
And they
Sure.
will help you get there. Yeah.
Makes total sense, Alex.
Yes,
And
sir.
what would be some of the thoughts and advice, let's say, of with a high school junior or senior, or
Mhm.
even a college age student? What are some of the key life lessons as you've come up through? And obviously, I don't have to preach into the choir when you talk about the boot camp as far as the Marines, what they
Yes,
put
sir.
you through. Again, it's kind of like having a suit of armor making you stronger for the world. But what would some of your advice be to some of these younger people that may be listening to this? Because again, this is geared toward teens and young adults. So
Sure.
yeah, fire away.
Absolutely. So, one of the best things that I always try to think about is putting myself in the shoes of people that that are just starting out
Mhm.
in their career focus, in their in their grassroots of where they really want to end up in life. And that could be at different ages. That could be at, the high school level, that could be at the college level, and that could be further than that. So one of the first initial pieces of advice that I would love to give is, don't get too caught up on time and where your peers are, and relating yourself to where your peers are, and thinking that you should be further along in your life just because you're at a certain level of, say, college, or I'm in high school and I haven't had my first job yet and everybody else around me is working. Well, your life is specifically set for you to live. So your successes are going to be different than everyone else's successes, because everyone else's successes are based off of the life that they're set to actually live. So that would be the first piece of advice that I would give.
Very good, very good. And I think too, to kind of add into what you're saying, we all want to try to compete with our own best self, because
Yes.
we all have gifts and tools and everything, certain natural things that we've been, given, as gifts to us. And the idea that we look to try to get the most out of these gifts and be able to, as I say, compete against our own best self. How am I better today than I was yesterday? How am I better tomorrow than I was today?
Exactly.
So anyway, that's kind of what I took from that. So other thoughts you have along those lines, Alex, please.
Absolutely. So, and tapping back into where I took a little stop in my own story is that I was focused to get into the military for culinary specifically. So anyone else around me as my peer group, or even my leaders that were teaching me at the time, well, they weren't too abreast to what I had already did my knowledge on, and that was the culinary program that, hey, there's an opportunity for a culinary program that I can get into. Well, all of the no's that came along the way, I couldn't judge anyone for saying, hey, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a culinary program inside of the Marine Corp. Well, I couldn't take those answers personally, because I had to stay confident in the research that I already did for myself. And that got me into being the youngest ranked Marine in the history of the Marine Corps to get into the culinary program, which is a senior enlisted and a more sought after you're already considered a career Marine. It's not heard of for you to join the military and then get right into a very experienced program. But I sought after it, and I basically put myself in the position to get there. So that was the main thing that I can drive on the second point, is to just stay. And what I mean by stay is stay confident, stay positive, stay focused, and also stay patient. Because if you don't stay to where you are naturally trying to get to, then anybody can pull you any different way. And it's easy for people to lose focus of what they initially sought out for, and make excuses for themselves, and make different scenarios for themselves. Well, it's good that I wanted to do this, but I really wanted to do this. Well, still throw darts at your own board, but also stay focused, confident, patient, and positive in where you're going. Because if you do not, then you will end up possibly a part of someone else's dream more than your own.
Sure. Oh, that's so well said, Alex. And one of the best things I've ever heard as far as goal setting, and you really nailed it. Goal setting allows us to control the direction of change in our life.
Yes.
So when you're moored in there on a goal that you want to have, it's like the obstacles kind of just melt away as you work your way toward that goal. So yeah, that is so well said. I really, really like that. Excellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you worked in the Pentagon for a while, isn't that correct?
Yes. So I came into.
Tell us about that story. I mean, there's very, very few people. I mean, unless you've got, the right clearances or something, you don't go into that building.
No, you don't.
No, it's not like Eastern Guilford Middle School, where maybe some of you guys and maybe some of your teachers may have come in a side window every now and then, turn on the alarms.
Right.
I don't think you do that in the Pentagon.
So, I had, man, Eastern Guilford Middle, that was a fun time. But so I had been accepted into the program, and I was coming into the program as a Lance Corporal coming from California. And this was in 2016 that we moved to Washington, D.C. because the headquarters of the Marine Culinary program is in D.C. So the first part of my experience in the program, before you are like an executive chef and you're very experienced, you've been to all these different trainings and schools, is you actually are a part of a mess. So you're actually a part of culinary a culinary team.
Mhm.
And normally a culinary team would be for a higher position that actually rates to have a team under them instead of one particular culinary chef. So from the president, vice president, down to the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Navy and the Secretary of Army, those positions actually have full teams of people that are chefs for them in a mess. So in the Pentagon, you have the Secretary of Defense. Under the Secretary of Defense, you have the Secretary of Navy and the Secretary of Army. And those three positions all have different messes
Mhm.
that are particularly for them, and
Okay.
all staff that have accounts to go to that particular mess. And all a mess is like a cafeteria, if
Right,
you will,
right.
for
Sure.
that staff and the staff's party. So
Mhm.
what I was blessed to be able to do was to go to the Secretary of Navy's mess
Mhm.
once I came into DC in 2016. So right in the Pentagon, at the Secretary of Navy's mess, you have all of the executive officers for the Marine Corps and also for the Navy. At
Mhm.
the Secretary of Army's mess, you have the Army and the Air Force and all of the executive officers for there. So I was blessed to be able to initially meet um, every who's who of each branch of service, all the
Wow.
way up
Wow.
to the Secretary of Defense. And then also, we did a lot of hosting events
Mhm.
in Washington, D.C. So I was blessed to be able to meet different who's who's in the White House, and
Mhm.
also the vice president. And the vice president actually lives in a separate house. So
Yeah, the
the
Blair House across the street.
yeah, so the
Yeah.
the all of the who's who that would be at the VP's house instead of the White House.
Mhm.
Well, you're able to make phenomenal connections with different people, military and politically, and just business as well. Business
Mhm.
owners are
Mhm.
always in Washington D.C. That was my first 2.5, 2 years,
Mhm.
first couple years
Okay.
in
Okay.
DC was particularly just in the Pentagon alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And uh, I always remember you in eighth grade, and you always, kind of looked up to your brother Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck.
And
Yeah.
as I said, I got to know Chuck a little bit, but certainly not as well as you. What were some of the things that you admired about Chuck? What was it that he helped you with, and other people that may have helped you along the way? When you were there in that little town of Gibsonville, North Carolina.
Yes, sir. So growing up in Gibsonville was it's always cherished to me and our family, just because Gibsonville is a beautiful place within itself.
Hmm.
Growing up with Chuck and that particular time in middle school, me and Chuck were always 2 years apart.
Right.
So my eighth grade year was Chuck's 10th grade year at Eastern Guilford High School, which was just a walk through the woods of Eastern
Hmm.
Guilford Middle.
Right.
Um, Coming up, it was always a very healthy relationship through sports that me and my older brother shared.
Hmm.
So it was nothing but confidence to be able to be on the same field, on the same court, at the same park, playing with my older brother, because 2 years is not a big difference in time.
Right.
but it wasn't size though. Chuck was a
Uh-huh.
lot bigger than me, man.
Uh-huh.
So he always pushed me to be the best amongst my peers,
Mm-hmm.
and that attitude, that mantra in sports just catapults you to be able to have the confidence that you need in any environment, whether
Sure.
you're in a
Sure.
classroom. Anytime you can tell yourself outside of sports or even while you're playing the game, anytime you can tell yourself, I have the opportunity to be better than what I am if I only stick to this, or
Mm-hmm.
if I only train harder, or I could wake up earlier. I know I'm better than my performance today. That could be in the classroom. That could be taking back a test and you see it's a B instead of an A. Well, I know I
Sure.
can be better than that, right?
Yeah.
That motivates you. That motivates you so much to also be a more of a positive and better example to somebody that you might not notice is looking over and
Mm-hmm.
saying, man, this guy, he doesn't need anybody else in this room and he's going to be motivated, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is how I looked at Chuck, and that's how Chuck looked at me.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to see that in my older brother, I literally was looking at myself 2 years later. Every
Sure.
time I was looking at Chuck, I was looking at myself 2 years later,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Very,
that's
very
just,
well
yeah,
put. Well,
yes, sir.
as I recall, you and some guy named Gerard Herbin had some pretty good sense of humor. You guys kind of kicked that into the next level many, many times, as I recall. My son David had come down, and I can still remember him being in the cafeteria sitting with me while you two were just clowning it up, and you were just
Oh man,
hilarious. He was like on the ground. He was laughing so hard.
my cousin Gerard was like vintage Eddie Murphy every day. Like every day. It didn't matter if you grew up, if you knew Gerard, it was this guy is just fun to be around.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know what he's gonna say. But that takes us back to Gibsonville because all of us grew up like the Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew up like the Sandlot. We all went home to my grandma's house or their grandma's particular house, and we all ate together. We
Mm-hmm.
all played ball together. We
Right.
all caught the bus together.
Sure.
So if you saw Gerard, you saw me. If
Yeah.
you saw Richard or
Yeah.
Jason, Octavius,
Mm-hmm.
or my cousin Desmond, if you saw one of us, you saw all of us. So we would pick in a way that someone else could have said one of the jokes that we said one time before, and it was like, "You've been hanging around Alex, haven't you? You've been hanging around Gerard, right?" So,
Uh-huh.
and then when you put that in one space together, like the cafeteria
Uh,
or anywhere in the gym,
yeah.
oh my goodness, it is just magnified. But the beauty of coming up in Gibsonville as well was that we all had natural respect,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you would see some kids and you can kind of tell their upbringing because of their tact, if they're tactful, or their respect level, or how disrespectful they can be.
Sure.
But we had so much laughs with teachers just
Mm-hmm.
as much as we had with our peers,
Yeah.
right? We had so much laughs with coaches
Mm-hmm.
just as much as we had with people from getting off the bus and somebody's just hanging out at the corner store,
Right.
because it was good humor that we were taught, and how you can take any situation you're experiencing throughout the day and just laugh at it.
I got a good Gerard story for you. Maybe you're
Okay.
familiar with this one or not, but I had him. Obviously, I had you guys for social studies, and I can remember a couple of times, and he was really slick as far as I'd already had him for class. Well, he pretended to go to the other class. The next thing I know, there's somebody in the back of the room with a big newspaper in front of his face. Gerard. And I go, Gerard, you got to go to your next. No, don't make me go there. I don't want to go to blah, 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 blah. And I said, Gerard, you got to go, man. No, don't make me go. And,
You gotta go, man.
about every other week, he would pull the old big newspaper thing out. And I realized he had tricked me, and he was hiding in the back of the room and then begging to stay in the social studies class. And he just cracked me up. He was so funny.
Yeah, wow, man. Coach, we had so much fun. We had so much fun with you. We would sometimes, and we're just kids, man. Like we're in the 8th grade,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we just look over.
Yeah.
Oh man, we just look over at you, Coach, and we just see you put your hand on your head, and you just say, "Hey, man, You know, what else can you do? Because we would run from classes and come into Coach Law's class, right? They're trying to get me. They're trying to get me. And Coach, what do you do? What's going on? What's going on? And other teachers, oh man, Miss McDowell, oh man.
Careful now, careful,
We
careful.
used to give Miss McDowell
You gave her a hard time, the poor woman.
so much hard times. Oh man, you think about teachers now, and you just think, I just need to find this person and just give them a hug, because I remember giving her so much of a hard time to collectively with me, Gerard, Jason, and all of us.
Oh yeah.
And the whole class's attention is just more so on having a good time type of deal, that you would either come across the hall or we would come to your class and you would just say, hey guys, come on. And then we would say, you know what, Coach, you're right. You're right, Coach. And then we would finish the day.
You guys were tough. You guys were tough out
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We would finish the day thinking about, okay, hey, Mr. Law just told us, hey, just go back in there and be just good students for a moment. You're only in there for a little bit of time.
Yeah, there's definitely some funny moments, that's for sure, Alex. No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely, yeah. But I certainly enjoyed those days and everything. I loved teaching down in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, Eastern Guilford. I actually, came back there in 2010 and 11. You were already out, obviously.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so I was back down in that area for another year. But really,
Okay, yeah.
love being down there in Gibsonville and the catching the atmosphere, there in Greensboro and everything. Alex, this has been fantastic. Is there a good for anybody that wants to get in touch with you, whether
Sure.
it's could you give them, a phone number or an email that if anybody wants to reach out and
Yeah.
catch up with you?
Absolutely. So I'll definitely share my email with you. You can reach out to me anytime with the mentoring that I normally do with different high school kids, with college guys, people of my age, or people who just have general questions. It is Alex C. Jones 21, and that's at gmail.com. So ALEX, C is in Charlie, JONES 21 at gmail.com, or you can just search me. I'm on social media. My name on Facebook is Alex C. Jones, so you can easily find me there.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Please stay on here once I stop.
Okay.
Just chat with you for a second afterwards. But again,
Sure.
please remember, anybody that's watching this, take just a second, go onto YouTube and sign up for Playing It Forward Coaching. We've got a lot of great interviews with guys like Alex and a whole bunch of others. And I look forward to, sharing more ideas and information that can help more, teens, young adults, and so on and so forth. So Alex, this has been great. Thank you so very much. And yeah, please hang on here for a second. Okay.
I sure will.
Okay. Thank you, sir.